Horror Nights is tweeting, park construction is going strong, and a new speculation map is predicting a full event for 2021. All this and more coming up. Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Hauntline. Today we've got a lot of Horror Nights news to cover, and things are looking really good for this year's event. Let's start by talking about this tweet. This was posted on June 10th, and it says, "Pardon our Stardust," which is typically something they put up when they're doing construction in the park, but of course Stardust is crossed out, and instead we have Sawdust. So this is interesting because it's the first time that Universal is officially acknowledging the construction that's going on in the park. There's been a lot of it, and the mazes that are being constructed right now are kind of in very obvious places that you can see from the park and even from the parking lot. So it's kind of fun that Universal's like, hey, we know that you know, being us fans, we know that you know that we know. So I have a feeling this is a good first step toward an official announcement. We haven't had one here in Hollywood yet. Orlando has officially been announced, although tickets haven't been released, but it's been officially announced. Hollywood has remained pretty silent, so this is kind of a nice first step toward that announcement, which I have a feeling is going to come very soon. And speaking of construction, we recently visited the park and saw firsthand what's going on, and there is literally tons of construction happening. And so let's break it down. First, there's the two mazes that are behind the Curious George parking lot. Now, at first, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, well, maybe we'll have one maze back here and not the other one. But now it's definitely looking like there are two mazes that are going back there. There's tons of construction material. There's tons of lumber, which is really expensive right now. So thanks for the sacrifice, Horror Nights. We appreciate it. And it's just crazy to see how much activity there is going on back there. Now, this is a brand new maze location that we haven't had before. So it's going to be kind of exciting to see how they're going to route us there. I was very surprised when we saw tents go up there. I was convinced that, no, there's no way that this was going to be a maze location, but here we are, definitely two mazes coming our way down there. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how we're actually going to get there on foot. There's also a lot of construction in the Parisian courtyard. Most notably, there's the facade that has gone up that looks to me like a book. I don't know what else it could be. It really looks like a book to me, so it'll be interesting to see what this ends up being, but obviously lots of construction going on there. That's a maze location they've used in the past, and it's a maze that's typically pretty long, although in the past they've also used the courtyard that's right across from there, although this year doesn't look like we're going to get anything there, which is kind of a bummer, but that's all right. So Parisian courtyard going strong. There's also the maze in the Waterworld queue. Now, first of all, I am so happy that Waterworld is back. I love that show, and it was so cool to be able to get to see it again. But if you are in line for Waterworld, you can very clearly see that there's a maze there. And also, if you just so happen to have an express pass, which we did for the day, you may be able to notice a facade and a pretty solid clue about what's coming that way. Listen, I don't encourage peeking over walls. I don't encourage ruining any surprises, but this is kind of super obvious. Universal needs to do a little better about hiding things, but it's very evident that something related to Halloween 3 is coming here. And again, it's very easy to spot this. You don't even have to really do anything illegal, if you will. But again, I don't encourage you looking over walls. I don't encourage you going out of your way to break into areas that you're not supposed to be in. Please follow all the rules. But Universal, also do a little better at hiding stuff, please. Then there's also the maze that's in the Mummy extended queue. This has been up since 2020, and it hasn't really changed very much. I mean, some painting has been done, a little more detail work has been done, but this is a maze that's been up since last year, and you can get a really good view of it from the Starway. So yeah, that's another maze that's being constructed. Construction's going strong there. And allegedly, there's construction going on in Soundstage 29. I wasn't able to get a good look. I kind of tried when we went on the studio tour, but there are walls up that are kind of covering Soundstage 29. you can't really see anything. So I can neither confirm nor really deny that anything is happening in Soundstage 29, but that is a rumored location for this year, and it's been used in the past, for instance, for the Stranger Things mazes. And I honestly love Soundstage mazes. I wish that they would do them more often. Like AVP, one of my favorite mazes ever, was in a Soundstage. More Soundstage mazes, please, Hollywood, please. And it's also kind of interesting to note that one facade that's behind the Curious George parking lot and another facade that's in the Parisian courtyard, these two facades we've seen before. These were up in 2020 and they were in the back lot. It's very clear that these are the same two mazes that were back there. So that's very, very interesting. I can't wait to see what these are. But yeah, so those are making a comeback and they've just changed location completely. And by the looks of it, there is absolutely no chance that we're going to get those maze locations back this year because they're filming American Ninja Warrior on the back lot. And the area that was once occupied by those mazes in 2020 is currently just parking for the production. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's any chance that we're going to get the back lot this year, which is a bummer because that means that we're losing a Gauntlet scare zone. I guess we're also losing the Toxic Tunnel, which, depending on your opinion on it, is not that bad at all. So we're losing essentially 2 scare zones and also at minimum 3 mazes. That usually typically go on the back lot. But I'm also kind of glad that we're not having to do that walk because that was a killer walk. But yeah, we're losing the back lot this year, which is a bummer. But hey, who knows? Maybe in the future, we'll get it back somehow. And also, I went and checked out The Walking Dead. It is very, very interesting to see it in person and see that truly the entrance to what used to be The Walking Dead looks like, you know, now it's totally inconspicuous, but it looks like it can very easily be converted back to an entrance for the attraction. In fact, if you look at the name of the building, it's still labeled as a hospital. And I'm actually fairly confident that The Walking Dead is still there and is still intact. Again, it was a multi-million-dollar project. And despite the fact that it's been coming back year after year, it is a beautiful maze. Like, there's no denying it. They did a great job with the inside, with the animatronics, with the lighting, the cabin that lights on fire. That was freaking awesome. And also the scale. The scale of each of the scenes in there is phenomenal. They did a great job with that. It's super highly immersive. So although I wish that they would have changed it throughout the years, although I'm kind of bummed that it's remained the same for so many years, it's still a really great thematic experience, and they did a good job of telling the story of The Walking Dead in that maze. So I'm fairly confident that it's there. I'm bummed that it's probably never going to change at this point, but it's probably going to make a comeback definitely this year for Horror Nights. All right, now let's talk about the new Horror Night Nightmares speculation map, which, by the way, if you're not following HNNightmares on Twitter, definitely do so if you're a fan of Horror Night speculation. In a nutshell, these guys have been incredibly good at predicting mazes for the past couple of years. A lot of the things that they predict come true, so they're a pretty good source to kind of put out some feelers about what the year may be in terms of Horror Nights, both in Orlando and here in Hollywood. But their new map is out. Last time that we sat down and we speculated, their map was speculating a daytime event with only 2 mazes and no scare zones. A daytime event very much like the one they did in 2020 in Orlando, where they had mazes open during the day, during normal park hours. And honestly, back then I was very okay with it, because if it was between that and no Horror Nights at all, then I would take a daytime event for sure. But now the latest version of the speculation map is predicting a full event for Horror Nights in Hollywood, including 7 mazes, which is freaking awesome. One of them is The Walking Dead, but you know, it's still pretty much a full event. So it went from predicting a small daytime event to an actual full event, and man, I am so happy. Now, there's a couple of interesting things to note on the latest version of the speculation map. For one, there's no scare zones listed, which is very, very interesting. Now, earlier in the year, I would have said, okay, that kind of makes sense, you know, especially with social distancing and with limited capacities for theme parks and what have you. But hey, as of the filming of this video, it is June 15th. It is the day where we are officially opening California back up with no restrictions, with no mask use for those that are vaccinated. So if you're vaccinated, you can walk around without a mask. But if you are not vaccinated yet, put your fucking mask on. So allegedly, right? Everything's opening back up at full capacity. So it's very interesting to see them not have scare zones predicted for this year. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's staffing. Maybe they decided, hey, we're going to keep it a little low budget. We're just going to staff all the mazes. We're not going to worry about staffing scare zones. And if that's true, I hope that at least they have thematic lighting. I hope that they at least have some fog, maybe some decor here and there. If they don't have performers, it's going to be a bummer, because truly scare zones are kind of like the spirit of the event, if you will, because you're walking around, you're not in a maze, but the horror is still there. The horror is still present. So it's going to be really weird walking through an event without scare zones at all, if that pans out. Another thing that's interesting is that they are predicting no shows. So that means that we won't be seeing the return of the Jabberwockies, which again, honestly, I really appreciate what they do as a group. They're really great dancers, but the Jabberwockies was always kind of an interesting choice for me. In terms of Horror Nights, right? Their show wasn't ever really horror themed at all, which is kind of a bummer because it would be a cool opportunity to really hone in on that and make it kind of spooky. But yeah, they are predicting no Jabberwockies, which again is kind of weird given the fact that the state has fully opened. We're doing pretty good in terms of all of our rates for COVID. So yeah, interesting decision. Again, maybe it's a budgetary one, but if there's no show, then that means that there's nothing to eat the crowds a little bit, which means that definitely all of the mazes are going to be a little more impacted because people love the Jabberwockies. That show always filled up. So that means that we're going to lose that opportunity to get people to go see the show, which will definitely be interesting to see how that impacts all the wait times, which are already usually kind of ridiculously long. And on that note, on one of our last episodes, we talked about the Terror Tram potentially coming back thanks to a survey that was sent out that mentioned the Terror Tram. But again, the speculation map is predicting no Terror Tram for 2021, which again is very interesting in terms of the fact that that's another big people eater. That's another huge route for people to go and kind of spend at least half an hour doing the Terror Tram path. So it's going to be interesting to see how that also affects the crowds, because without the shows, without the Terror Tram, all these people are going to be stuck waiting in queues for the mazes, so that may make the lines a little bit longer. So just get ready, folks, because here it comes. And well, there you have it. That is all the latest news out of Horror Nights in Hollywood. I'm hoping we get some more soon. Again, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for some sort of an announcement soon. I really hope that we get scare zones. I would be kind of happy if we got a Terror Tram back at this point. Or even the Jabberwockies, because again, the park needs some people eaters to keep those lines low. But either way, we'll keep you posted. We'll keep you posted with speculation, with announcements, and we'll see what is in store for us. Either way, I am very, very happy that it's 2021, that it's summer, and that we are speculating about Horror Nights, and that we're actually seeing signs of life. We're gonna get an event this year, people. I feel it. I know it. So in whatever capacity it happens, again, I just hope that we're all safe, and I hope that we're able to have a good time with our guards down and just truly enjoying the experience as best as possible. So fingers crossed, folks. I think good things are heading our way. And well, that's going to do it for this episode of The Haunt Line. Let us know in the comments down below. Are you excited for this lineup? Don't forget you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter for all the latest haunt news. You can also visit us on the web for links to all of our stuff, and you can check out our podcast wherever you download your podcast. We're definitely having new episodes soon, 3 right off the bat, so be excited for that. I'll have them up sometime soon. And until the next time, thank you for calling The Haunt Line.